Brought to you by Boehringer Ingelheim. I don't know what they do, but they gave me this mug.
Well, welcome everybody to the episode 8 of the Anthony K. Goodwin Podcast. As always, my name is Anthony, and today with us we have...
Titus.
Hi, Titus.
Titus. Hi, nice to meet you all.
So you pronounce your last name Briseno, right?
I say Briseno. Yeah, somewhere in the line there was a tilde over the end, so it would have been Briseno, yeah. And then my dad's generation knocked it off.
Wow.
So Briseno. And I keep it easy for people, yeah.
So what do I say?
Titus Briseno.
All right, Briseno, you got it. Well, then that gives me even more reason to tell this story.
Tell it.
In my phone, when I get people's numbers and stuff for the first time, I just throw in the name pretty fast sometimes because it's in a whatever situation. And so yours is Beniso.
There you go.
Yep. I don't know. It is what it is. But now it's not that bad.
No. That's fine. That's
Briseno.
fair. Yeah.
Beniso.
Better than burrito.
Okay.
I've gotten that. So
I wouldn't do that.
I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That's rude. You're not even Mexican.
I'm actually dominantly British. I took
23andMe.
No, what was the other one?
I don't know.
One of those
Prison. When you go to prison,
yeah. No, I took one of those saliva tests.
Yeah.
And it came back that it's 30-something%, but my dominant gene is in the English area. So
nice.
Josh and I got along a lot better after I found that out.
Today's his last day.
Yeah, rest in peace, Josh.
So for those of you who follow Shelter Cove and stuff, that's happening this morning.
Yeah, you can follow him at Josh J. Pidgley or Josh. I don't know what it is actually.
It's just Josh Pidgley.
See ya.
Bye. The British way.
Yeah.
23andMe. My grandparents are surprisingly white.
Yeah.
Very.
Are they?
Yeah, I got mine back, and I was I think maybe 70% British too, but then I was 20% Iberian,
Whoa.
and then I was 1% Sub-Saharan African,
wow.
and 0.4% I think Ashkenazi Jew, and I'm
wow,
I'm everywhere. This
Yeah.
is amazing.
Yeah.
I had Native American. It's I knew it. I knew I was Native American.
Yeah, I have that somewhere in there too.
My grandpa, 99.9%.
Oh my gosh. You could have got free school then.
Oh man, no, British. He was
British.
Sorry,
yeah.
He was so white, and I was like, my goodness, Grandpa, look at you go. So I did not get any of this heritage from you.
Yeah,
all right.
No.
All right, enough about that.
Yeah.
That's not why we're here today. Today he's joining me to talk about, so we grew up. How old are you again?
I am 27.
All right, you're a young child, and I just turned 30, and so there was a music scene in the Central Valley that existed when we were both in high school, and that's actually one of the first things that sparked a commonality besides Jesus to Titus and I. We were rehearsing for a weekend service, and I just started playing this chord progression that was unique to this song from being in high school, and in the middle of just doing it, just warming up or whatever. He was like, "Hey, I know that."
Yeah.
And was it Rippin's song?
I don't remember the name of it. I just recognized the melody as being it's a Travis Vick or a Fairway song. I can't remember which one it was now.
Yeah.
But I think you were brand new at the church at that point.
Yep, I was new.
And so that was a fun little reminiscent way to get to know someone.
Yeah, very unique
Yeah.
thing to catch on to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just now I've almost been here for 3 years, and just over that amount of time, we've had more discussions about past music from that time, and so we're here today to talk about that. Later on, we're gonna have some guests, and spoiler alert, we might change outfits because we did those parts yesterday, and today we're doing this. So
did it kind of backwards.
Titus.
Yeah.
Talk about your music. Not that you're a singer-songwriter, but what did start you off playing? And is drums even your your main?
Yeah, drums were my main instrument. And it started when I was 14. Much like a lot of people, I think, it started in church. The church I was going to in Turlock had a youth band that was all the cool kids. And I really wanted to play drums, and I didn't own a drum set, had never really played the drums. And the guy who was the drummer for the youth band had just graduated high school, so they were trying to find kids to kind of take over the youth band.
Yeah.
And he said, well, you can come to my house, I'll teach you how to play, you can practice as long as you want. And so he would pick me up every day from school, go back to his house, and his parents had this like separate, what they called the dog house. It was like a little studio apartment almost on the property, and we got to play drums as much as we wanted, as loud as we wanted, as long as we wanted. So started
Perfect
off
setup.
Yeah, it was great. Started off doing that. It was a band called So the Angel. Played mostly 99% Hillsong United stuff when it came out. We wrote 2 or 3 songs. We recorded 2 of them at a little studio in Houston called Basehead Studios.
Nice.
Where I've seen Eveline's played there. I think they called it the Fault Line. That was the name of the venue.
How old were you at this point?
That was when I was 14.
Cool.
Yeah. And then started this little band where we only ever recorded 2 songs called Maine. It was like this instrumental kind of like experimental stuff. And we only ever played the songs live once outside of, I don't think it was called the Pizza Factory, Mr. Slice Pizza in Turlock.
Yeah.
On Monte Vista.
Yeah.
And we weren't even supposed to play. It was like some other friends were playing. And while they were waiting to set up, we all jumped on some instruments and just played our song live.
Wow.
And it was the only time we ever played those songs.
That's what's up.
And then after that, started a band called Verona. That was the longest tenured band I was in, a hardcore band.
Nice.
That's where I met Clayton, who we'll talk to later, or already talked to.
Dun, dun, dun.
Who knows? Verona lasted probably 3 years or so. We did 3 albums, more like EPs, like 5-song, 6-song EPs. And that was the most fun I had, definitely. It was kind of like a Christian hardcore band. Started off doing the same thing everyone else was doing, synthesizer kid who would also sing.
Heck yeah.
And then we ended up saying that's not what we wanted to do and kind of went a little harder. Played a lot with bands like Athens, who was formerly Forsaken All Else. Who else did we play with? I can't remember all their names now.
The connections.
There are a lot of local bands. Return from Exile, they were like this crazy metal band who the guy who played guitar and did the vocals in that band is a karate instructor now.
Wow.
Yeah, super legit dude. But did Verona for a long time. I did play guitar in a band called the Mid-Sky Surrender, who were some friends from Turlock, a local hometown band, and they they were going to go on this tour, and they had kicked their guitarist out, or he quit or something. So I joined, and the guy who played lead guitar for them taught me all their parts. Yeah. It was mostly just power chords and stuff like that. But that was my first opportunity to go on a tour, and the first tour was Southern California.
Yeah.
So started in Fresno, drove all the way down to LA.
Nice.
And I think we played 1 show. But we were gone for a month.
What?
Yeah, we played 1 show. And I don't know what happened, but we ended up just driving around this. They bought an old airport shuttle bus that had been converted to a tour van for bands.
Yeah.
So the back was bunk beds, and then they ripped out a bunch of seats, and we were able to store the equipment in there. Wow. We drove city to city, and I don't know if the shows just fell through or if there were no shows planned or what. Yeah. We ended up playing seriously maybe 2 or 3 shows, and this month we were gone. But we went to a lot of malls, and we did a lot of acoustic sets and Hot Topics.
Okay.
And at that time, we had just released a cover of Soulja Boy's Kiss Me Through the Phone.
Okay.
Shout out Mid-Sky. That video has over 1 million views on YouTube, actually.
Wow.
It's just a bunch of slideshow images of us and the song. Did that, hated it because we didn't play any shows. So got back, told them I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. So I quit. Their old guitarist came back. they set up a second tour that was going to be Northern California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada. And right as they're getting ready to leave, their guitarist, who had quit originally, gets mono. Uh-huh. And the doctor tells his mom, hey, if he so much as like falls the wrong way, he could die from this mono. So his mom's like, Jake, you're not going. So they called me like, hey, we have shows lined up. We promise. Do you want to do it? And I did it, and that was one of the best experiences of my life, going to the Northwest. Cool. We played with a band called Holding On to Hope, who was on Come and Live Records. They're from like San Luis Obispo, Central Coast area. Mm-hmm. Played with them I did that for a few weeks, and when it got time for him to come back, and he was well, we came back down to California. We switched places. His mom picked me up and took me home. Nice. And yeah, that is 90% of my experience in the music scene.
I was really hoping that story was going to go like, so I went on tour with them, we did 2 shows, and then they went on tour with the real guy, and now you know them today, Imagine Dragons. Yeah. There it is.
You might have heard of them, they're called the Beatles now. No, it was fun. I had a chance to join Holding On to Hope because they didn't have a permanent bass player, and those guys are super, super solid guys. They had a dude who was traveling with them for the California West Coast thing, and then he went back home, and they called me when we got home and said, hey, do you want to come play bass for us? And I was like, yeah. Like, okay, the only thing is it's all East Coast this time. So we're starting in Florida, we're going to do all this stuff, and we'll come back home. And I was 18, and basically my dad said, if you decide to do that, you got to find somewhere else to live when you come back. Yeah. And so I decided not to, and very disappointed because they actually ended up opening for Under Oath on that show, or on that tour in Tampa, Florida, in Under Oath's hometown. So life experience is missed, but that's okay. Okay.
Tampa.
Go Niners.
Bay. All right. You know what? You reminded me of a younger, dumber Anthony. I started playing guitar at like 15 or 16, and it was like, oh, girls like this, so that's why I started. And then a friend of mine, we started a band. I say band because we just made a MySpace music page.
That's all you need.
And maybe we did record like 2 songs. Yeah, we probably recorded a little bit more than that, but it was like I had a friend who was in the band called Light Brights, who later became French Cassettes. Mm-hmm. And so I remember we sat in front of his little computer that he had in between like the living room and the kitchen of his parents' place, and it was this tiny little like mic sticking out that would be like basically on the headset of any gaming headset today is basically what we recorded into. So I remember doing that with him, and we called ourselves the Raging Hormones.
There you go. That's a good way to get the ladies.
Yep. So it was just like me playing guitar, and then this my other friend, his name's Devin, and he played the electric drum kit, and he's actually a DJ today. Okay. Yeah, I haven't like been to anything that he's done, but he's doing that now, so he's still in music.
That's good.
Good job, Devin.
I'm Devin.
Not. I mean, I guess I kind of am. I do worship every now and then.
Yeah, same here.
But yeah, that was the extent of my like recording and stuff. Lauren and I wrote a song together, and we recorded that in a studio. Just a rough thing. Fun little experience though to do that. That's literally my, I guess, professional career.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, we talked a little about the French Cassettes the other day. Yeah. And just kind of the history of all these bands that have come out of our area. The French Cassettes I knew mostly through their drummer Ben, who was also in a band called Peaceable Jones. Yep. So some of my first shows when I was 14 in that Christian band, we played with Peaceable Jones. Played with a band called the Undergrads from Series, who were like this little. They're basically like a Blink-182 cover band, but they wrote their own songs, but it was basically Blink-182. Nice. Same setup, 3 guys, all that. Oh, nice. Blank Logic was another band that was kind of popular in the area. Turlock, we played a lot of shows with them. And then, they'll hear Clark talk about a lot of these bands too.
Yeah.
Clark touched on Jupiter is Useless.
Yep.
Kind of like this dance pop.
I remember that name.
Kind of band. Yeah, they were interesting. Their big thing was they had this guy who played the keys named Alex Arestigui, and he was a famous. I don't know if he was famous, but he was a well-known trance artist. So he would make all this electronic music, and he had this song called Endless Bay. Shout out Alex. That was very popular in like the trance scene. And so he did all their like keyboard stuff and programming and all that. And he also, Clark mentioned a band called Picture Atlantic.
Yeah.
Not from the 209, but from San Jose. And I encountered them when I was 14. They had a guy, their drummer at the time, reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking for shows in the area. Could you help us out and get one? And I said, yeah, sure. And so we set them up at a show at the House of Java in Turlock. And these dudes drove down 2 hours to play a show in front of 10 kids.
Oh, man.
In a little coffee shop probably in a space as close as we are right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, they killed it. They loved it.
That's cool.
They sold a bunch of shirts that day. Kids were cutting the shirts in half and making them one because they're different colors, and I don't know, it was like this funny thing.
Yeah.
And then they actually they've written a lot of albums. They just broke up recently. Picture Atlantic did, and started a new band at Sound of Talk on Instagram. I give them a shout out. They got to open for Coldplay.
That's
yeah. Coldplay did on the Viva La Vida tour. They did a contest for each town.
Yeah.
Where you would nominate 10 bands with a music video. And then the top 5 votes would then go to Coldplay, and then Coldplay would handpick who opened each show based on that.
Wow.
And they got handpicked to open for Coldplay. So
that's pretty tight.
I'm well connected.
Dang, man. So you've met Coldplay.
I've basically opened for Coldplay. Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
That is the way it works. Hey, you know what? We're mentioning some people. Let's kick over to those conversations right now.
Yeah, they're great ones.
I don't know what order this is going to happen right now. It's just going to happen.
Yep.
We have Clayton Johnson.
Yeah.
And we
local
have
legend.
Clark Beggs.
Also a local legend.
Yeah, they're each local legends in their own right. You know, one's still planted here in Modesto.
You've probably seen him on the evening news.
Without further ado, here's our conversation with Clark Beggs.
Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Titan Turkey Pan from
Close
Rockstone.
all the way, but she reached.
Hey, Clark.
Welcome to the Anthony Goodwin PopPodcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
He forgot one letter, but it's okay.
AnthonyKGoodwin PopPodcast. Sorry.
Ta-da.
What's the K for?
Kenneth.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
I
I was
should
gonna get
make-
Keith.
I should make something up, though, that's
Kevin.
like killer.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. Today we have Clark Beggs with us here today. Again, talking about Central Valley style music, throwback. And Titus and I were like, man, you know who is a special someone? That stop motion poetry guy. And his brother.
Back then, I was the evening news guy.
Yeah, I was gonna way to ruin my flow here, Clark. I was gonna transition. So let's go back to the early days, the evening news. So the first time I saw the evening news play was on Canal in Turlock, outside of a Starbucks, actually.
Yeah. We played a lot of shows there.
What was that?
I said we played a lot of shows there. That was the spot.
It was shocking that so many shows happened right there on that little patio space in Turlock. So talk the evening news. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was 12, 13 years ago now.
Oh man, we're old.
So
I think we played more in Turlock than we did in Modesto, even though we lived in Modesto, and like we played the Starbucks outside.
Yeah.
Probably like 3 or 4 times. We played the War Memorial.
Oh, that's a good
one. We played downtown Turlock. And anyway, the evening news was the first like original band I was in. I think I was in a cover band with Devin and some friends. We played Rage Against the Machine.
Oh, quite a difference.
Yeah.
We played Rage Against the Machine. We also played Coldplay.
There you go.
Green Day, Blink-182, all the hits. But yeah, the evening news was like all original music, and that was my first experience like playing songs that we wrote, and we kind of we were like Spinal Tap, we had like members shifting around all over the place. We lost guitarists more than drummers though. But yeah, I mean, the music scene back then was there was like I don't know if you remember Jupiter's Useless.
Yeah.
Those guys were they went from being like an indie band with a vocalist to like an all instrumental band, I think.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, we play a lot with them. We play with this band at that Starbucks called The Secret Stolen, I think.
I think I remember them slightly.
They're from Chico, I believe.
Okay.
And they were kind of like experimental.
Yeah, they were kind of like that at the drive-in kind of feel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
Sure. And then I don't think the Evening News ever played with like Eveline back then, but we played with them later. But I think some of those guys are from like Houston or Turlock.
They are, yeah.
I know Dan and Greg a little bit better than the rest of them, but what was it? Who else we played? I think we played with Farewell Madison back then.
Oh yeah, there we go. That's the good stuff.
There was a lot of good like indie rock and stuff that I think would like even hold up today. Like the Evening News was pretty bad, but some of those
well, you guys had that. Good. And I still ask you guys to play it every time you guys come anywhere. Walk Outside, that was a #1 hit, man.
Oh yeah, dude, that was a
great song.
Greatest hits album.
We
we re-recorded that later on as stop motion poetry, but
I remember that.
People still liked the version we recorded at my mom's house.
Wow. You guys had like this tan shirt, I think, with maybe was it a stoplight? Was the Evening News maybe?
Oh, so the tan shirt was like there was like a moon.
Yeah.
And it said the Evening News.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on we had a stoplight when it was stop motion poetry.
Oh, okay, so maybe I'm mixing two shirts, but I definitely remember owning a tan Evening News shirt.
That's funny. Those were supposed to be brown, but the guy sent us the wrong color.
Oh man, that's good.
That's
funny. Good. So you guys transitioned. We don't have to go into it, but I remember talking about probably the biggest, most famous member of the Evening News and all the stuff y'all went through with a specific guitarist, with Matt specifically.
Matt Culp.
Yeah. Is that what kind of prompted the change and all that? Were you guys just so different at that point that you just decided just change the name?
Oh, okay. So you're going to hear a really good story right now.
Yes.
So the Evening News was founded by this guy named Chris and one of my good friends, Tyler. And they had me come in as like, I was just playing keys originally. And then the whole band like made me the singer against my will. And like everyone was like, you should just sing. Like even the guy who founded the band and was singing, Chris, was like I'll keep writing, we'll like collaborate and stuff, but you can sing. Like I had been in choir and stuff, so I was on pitch, but I sounded like a choir boy, I think. But so the band was like the Evening News for a while. Tyler left, and we had a couple other guys come to the band, and eventually, due to like some like silly drama, the whole band was like in consensus that we should kick out this guy Chris that was one of the founders with Tyler, and so we kicked him out, and later on, like a year later, we found out that his mom had trademarked the name The Evening News.
Oh my gosh.
After this all went down.
Wow.
So she like was very upset at us. And so she trademarked the name and then started like emailing, like local people in town that had, our music on their website. Cause this was like MySpace days or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like Modesto View had like a song of ours on their site, and like some other like local websites had mentioned us on their site. And so she was like emailing all of them saying like, I own the trademark to this, you need to take their name down.
Wow.
And so we were just like, what the heck? Like they literally weren't using the name, and he didn't even really come up with it. It was actually Tyler. But anyway, we either had, we were like a local band in Modesto, so it's like, what are we gonna do? We're just gonna change our name.
Yeah.
So at that point, the band had already changed like a lot. Like the evening news became just me, and like the other members started their own band. One of them decided to go solo, and so we just literally, to come up with a new name, we sat in front of a computer and just typed everything that came to our mind, like for like a couple hours, and then we narrowed it down to 3 that we liked. Like we tried to do like what's like a play on the evening news, like nightly news, or like the broadcast, and like we had all these like evening news spin-offs,
Yeah.
and then stop motion poetry, and that was the one that people liked. So as lame as that is, that's how we came up with the name.
I respect the process.
Yeah, me too. That's neat. I didn't know that. So when did the name change happen? What year was that?
Oh geez. If I was to estimate just off memory, it would probably came about in like 07 or 08.
Wow.
Maybe a little later than that. It's been around for way too long.
Okay, fair. And then I remember you guys opening, maybe you didn't open. It was something at Stan State. I think it was a Warrior Day thing.
Uh-huh.
Were you stop motion then, or were you the evening news then?
So it was like a show on campus?
Yeah, I want to say there was some other big band that was playing, and then you guys got to open for them or something.
Oh, was that the year like Red Jumpsuit Apparatus played? Is that what you're talking about? Maybe.
I think.
But I know Jupiter is Useless opened that show too, or played that show.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think we played on campus ever. I could be wrong. We did like radio show stuff, and then we did like KCSS, and then we did I think KCSS put on a show at Grizzly Rock,
the Grizzly
or whatever
Rock,
it was called
sure.
back then, and that was like that was like a little mini festival.
They had like three booths, or 3 like stages, I think, there.
Yeah.
For a little bar. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was definitely a cool thing they did. In terms of like opening for bigger bands, I know we never opened for Red Jumpsuit, but because our manager at the time did some like legal work for them, so we were definitely trying to play with them.
Sure.
But our music doesn't really fit anyway.
Sure.
It's like, hey, we're super soft, and you guys are like basically metal. Let's
play. Friends, please.
Yeah, friends.
So you guys have a venue / studio, or had, and that's where I saw the last form of Eveline play, because I'd grown up watching Eveline as Holiday, and then take over as Eveline, and I watched Eveline and Furrow Madison play a bunch of shows at like Kingdom Coffee and all that stuff, and then their last form, with Dan and Greg in the band, and they played at, I believe it was your studio, right, in a warehouse.
Yeah, so the band, and then that same friend Tyler that I mentioned, who started the evening news, we basically like teamed up and built a venue and a studio in basically an empty warehouse shell.
That's cool.
And originally there was like a small one, and we put on a few shows there. I think like Picture Atlantic came.
Those are good guys.
Yeah, and there's this other band from Indian Lakes played there, and then we moved into the bigger space, which is where you saw Eveline, and we also booked Future Forestry, and we booked this band called Alpha Rev that's from Austin.
Yeah.
At the time, they had been like touring with, I think, Third Eye Blind and like Owl City. Two very similar bands, right?
Sure.
But yeah, so we it was a really, really cool thing, and like we put on a lot, like not that many shows there, but we also had a few like events there, And it's just like one of those places where like we didn't really even like tell that, like we didn't do a good job promoting, but people would show up because it was, in my opinion, the best place to hear live music.
It
Like
sounded great and looked great.
Yeah, I think the state might be a better venue, but it's like you can't put a show on there without putting up a couple grand, to get security and their staff and all that. Our place was definitely not kosher in terms of like the law.
Anything.
Yeah, that's what we like about rock and roll. You don't need stuff that's kosher.
Yeah, but it was really cool. We also had solar powered people played a show.
Oh, that's right.
Built Like Alaska played a show. Granddaddy practiced there. Or actually, no, I'm conflating. But they were gonna do some stuff there. They ended up going to our friend Jordan's Someplace Studios instead because ours was too big. But they came and checked it out. But anyway, we were all sad to see that go. Basically, just we ran out of money.
Sure, it's a tough gig.
Yeah, music's not a good career choice sometimes.
Speaking of that, speak to like where you're at now, where the band's at now. I saw you guys doing some stuff on social as far as radio. Go.
All right. Well, so Stop Motion Poetry put out a single called Missile last Friday, and it's our first new music, I'd say, since our first album. So it's been like 7 or 8 years. We basically went on hiatus and just kind of were in the studio. So we put that out on Friday, and it's been getting some radio play and like alternative stations and all over the world.
Oh, the
technically
world, nice.
Speaking.
Yeah.
It's been on it's been on The End in Seattle. It's been on 94.7 in SAC, K-Rock in LA, and it's been on a couple like European. It's been on in like Uganda for our.
Whoa.
We're huge. We're huge in Uganda.
There you.
That is awesome.
Not really. I don't know actually if anyone would come to a show there, but we're on the radio there.
You guys are told to read down the Instagram too. You guys only have 12 posts these days. Wow.
Yeah, we kind of. I think it's one of my maybe not one of my better traits, but I tend to like to start over, and especially like for a band that's been around as long as we haven't really put that much music out, and part of it's because I'm just like a little bit particular, and I'm not usually happy with what we put out, so I just don't. But we've been working on these 6 songs that are going to become our next singles and the EP for a few years, and a lot of it's just been kind of like dialing in what we like, being more intentional with how we want to sound.
Yeah,
because it's always just kind of been, oh, that's cool, let's do that. Oh, that's cool, but now we're like trying to put out something that's cohesive, that feels like, and all the songs were created in a relatively short period of time, so they're kind of like related to each other, I guess.
That's tight.
So so we're putting out a music video in a couple weeks, and then we're gonna start putting out a few more singles. So
nice. Do you have a date for when the final all comes out?
No, we haven't set a date yet. We're not sure if we're gonna do how many singles we're gonna do before we just put the rest out,
Sure.
We're kind of playing it by ear, I guess. And so I think I could tell you the next single's probably going to be Dead Rose, which you probably heard like acoustically.
Heck yes, I have.
Yeah.
Teaser.
Yeah, so we'll hopefully have a date in the next couple of weeks.
It's so perfect that it's coming after Valentine's Day.
I know, right? We keep thinking like we should put it out on Valentine's Day, but
and to wait another year.
You gotta let the rose die. So
Dead Rose from Valentine's.
So just like the relationship you started on Valentine's Day,
exactly.
Is dead. This rose is dead.
Dead.
It's very cheerful. We're a cheery band.
Thanks, Clark. Appreciate your time very much. Where can do you want people to follow you or follow the band?
Oh yeah, follow the band for sure, unless you just want to look at pictures of babies.
And and
Which is
that
appealing.
meaning you're single,
Which is appealing, yeah.
Your child.
Hey, did y'all ever finish your remodel? I know you guys were doing a lot of stuff to your house. Did you get that done?
Dude, no, we don't get things done like you do. We
Yeah,
just,
oh gosh.
Dude, yeah. Talk about, man, follow Titus to see a remodel. My gosh.
I know. I was like following it, and it like half got me excited to like do something, and then half made me depressed that I'm not doing enough.
Well, Godspeed to you, Clark.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Have a great day.
All right, bye.
Take care.
Hey, there was our conversation with Clark. Now we're going to kick it over to our conversation with Clayton Johnson. This guy has a resume.
He's a mover and he's a fighter.
And he's a bird in a sparrow. And you will hear more about all the people that he's gotten to work with over the many years. Other story. Fun fact, him and I played football against each other.
Did you win?
It was a scrimmage. Yes. He went to Davis. I went to Ripon High. And, yep, that's it. Here it is.
At Clay Watch.
So we are good. Video's running. Audio's running. We are only 15 minutes into the time that we asked for from you. Clayton Johnson, welcome
Clayton
today.
Johnson.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Good talking to you.
Yes, thanks for being here. Thanks for making the time. We're just going to jump right in to respect every moment that you have given us. Number one,
no worries.
Buccaneers are better than the 49ers. Number two.
Goodness gracious. Someone dropped this man on his head as a kid.
Yeah, a few times, yeah.
Actually, fun fact, my father did throw me on the bed. I bounced, I did some sort of somersault and landed on my head.
It all makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Niners, baby, all day.
Enough about me. So the reason that we're hanging out and chatting today is because we're talking about the 209 music scene back when we were
high school years.
Not in our 20s yet.
Yeah, high school years.
That's right. Yeah. Some of my favorite memories for sure, man.
Yeah.
Great times.
The first memory I have of you, Clayton, I think you were just in the first beginning initial steps of starting a move or a fighter. I think you were still doing some acoustic stuff on MySpace, and then we met at a the Rock church.
Yeah. Oh wow.
At one of those little hardcore shows, yeah, and you were just starting to really get that going.
Was that Turlock?
That was in Modesto.
The Rock?
Yeah. Kind of like ghetto side Modesto.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's some like harder shows over there for the most part. Like some metalcore and screamo and some of that stuff, which I loved. Big fan of that, so I used to go to a lot of those shows at the Rock.
Was that your first band, a mover, a fighter?
You know what? I'd always really loved music, and I wasn't interested in playing in a band or anything. I started playing guitar in about 7th grade or 8th grade, and a couple guys from Downey hit me up and said, "Hey, we're looking for a singer. We heard that you can sing okay. Do you want to be our singer?" And one of the guys in that band, I went to kindergarten with at Wilson Elementary, and that was called Ever Changing, was the name of our group. And I remember our first show was at, what was it called? The Seasons, I believe is what it's called, on McHenry Avenue.
Yeah.
And I think we only played a handful of shows. And after that, I just got the bite to just want to play more. And I just kind of went to project, and it was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. And A Mover Fighter, I guess, was kind of my first, my band that I kind of put together. And before that, actually, I was in a band from Bayer with a bunch of Bayer guys called Sleep Where I Fall. And we used to kind of play some shows and stuff, and I kind of wanted to take it a little bit more seriously. And some of the guys wanted to focus on school more, which was totally cool. And then that's what kind of spawned A Mover Fighter.
Nice. And where did that name come from?
It came from a line in a song by a band. I couldn't even tell you who the band was, but a band. And that's so it was cool because we had some venues like Kingdom Coffee and the Underground and places like the Rock where we'd get these cool smaller bands that weren't huge yet. And one of those bands I really liked, and they had this line in their song that was basically, I want to be a mover, a fighter, a shaker, that kind of an idea. And I just kind of liked it and just ran with it.
That's tight.
That's very cool. Let's talk peak show, at least in my opinion, for A Mover, a Fighter. Ace Enders and a million different people.
Dude, being an early November fan, I was hyped. I still have the very first electric guitar I bought, and Ace Enders signed it for me. and
That's awesome.
in Sharpie, and I still have that hanging in my room here in Hollywood. I mean, there's so many great shows at Sidelines, and I remember the promoter Jay. Yeah. Jay was the promoter. Shout out Jay. He used to bring in some really awesome bands that we were fans of, like the Almost,
That's
and
right.
Ascenders, and even some kind of the crazier bands like the Millionaires and Broken Side. But it was a great scene for, quote unquote small town Modesto. We were getting some national bands in there that we were able to go check out and go play with, which was awesome.
Yeah, they brought in, Catherine played there. Oh, Sleeper played with Catherine, I think, in that same show at Sidelines. But yeah, that Ascender show was awesome to be a fan of and be a spectator at, and then getting to know you guys a little bit, working with my band was working with Ray a little, and I got close with, was his name Redding? Is that the guy who played drums for you guys?
Yeah, Redding, Cyrus.
That's
he was a buyer. He was a drummer. He played with us for a little bit as well. Great drummer, great guy. But yeah, that was like kind of the peak, I really feel like, of the Modesto music scene was probably 2006 when, like I said, the Underground, Kingdom Coffee, Sidelines, The Rock, we were starting to get some national acts that are coming through. Cartel, Catherine, Devil Wears Prada, some of those types of bands that were playing in our city. And I just loved it. I went to as many shows as I could, and I tried to befriend as many bands as I could. And bands like the Devil Wears Prada or Bless the Fall, they all come stay at my house anytime they're in town. And I'd go out on the road with them for a couple days at a time just as a homie to just hang out. And I mean, it was just probably my favorite time of high school for sure.
So when did Cartel come to Modesto?
Cartel came with, it was called the Militia Group, which was their record label. It was the Militia Group tour, and it was them and the Rocket Summer, and I forget who else was on the bill, but they were just starting out as one of their first couple tours, and coming around full circle. I ended up joining a band on Columbia Records called Stereo Skyline, and we were able to do a tour with Cartel, and we became really close friends to this day. I talk to the guys really often. We still keep in contact, some really great friends of mine. So thinking about being a little fanboy back in the day and watching this band I was a huge fan of, to being able to play shows and befriend a lot of these bands we looked up to was really cool for me, and really came full circle from the times in Modesto.
I saw Cartel in like 2009, feels too late. It must have been 06, 07, somewhere in there. I saw them in Sacramento at some random bar with the Starting Line and Copeland.
I'm pretty sure it was at that show. It was called, what was that venue called? I used to go there all the time as well. It's not the Roseville Underground, the Boardwalk. Was that it?
I think so, yeah.
The Boardwalk. I was at that show. I mean, those are still, I still listen to all them, the Starting Line and Cartel all the time still. Copeland just put out a new album. I still some of my favorite bands.
Those were good days indeed.
Those were good days. So
you gave away a little bit where you're at now. So give us like a 2-minute debrief of from a mover fighter in Modesto to Clayton Johnson, star model in in Hollywood. Yeah.
But kind of the same story where a mover fighter, we're senior year, and guys were having to make decisions. How serious did we want to take it, and who wanted to try to take it to the next level and kind of sacrifice and hustle, and who wanted to go to school. And like I said, I totally get it where those guys, wanted to pursue an education. But I really wanted to take it to the next level. So one of my buddies, Isaac, who used to go to the Underground a lot, Isaac Sanchez, a good friend of mine. I remember him telling me, like, no matter what, just keep playing in bands, no matter what. If you break up in a band, join another band. As long as you're playing, like, you'll get where you need to go. So I took that to heart. And then after I Mover Fighter, this band, when MySpace was starting to really take off, this band who was getting some really good buzz out of Texas and did a lot of shows with, like, Forever the Sickest Kids and some of those kind of bands, The Secret Handshake, they're looking for a new bass player. So I auditioned via Skype, moved to Texas on Christmas Day, packed up all my things, and I joined this band from Texas, and we hustled. That
was a Bird of Sparrow, is that right?
That's it, from a Mover Fighter to a Bird of Sparrow.
Yeah.
Did you name that one too?
I didn't. They got their name from Donnie Darko.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
ladies, the lady who wrote the book, her name was Alberta Sparrow.
Okay.
And someone misheard it and was like, "Oh, that'll be a cool band name."
That's
Alberta
funny.
Sparrow.
That's super
Wow.
funny.
It was great, and we hustled, man. You know,
That's
I
wild.
had a little bit of savings, and that all got depleted pretty quickly. We were hustling and playing and booking our own shows, and it was tough. But we got to meet a lot of people on the road, a lot of bigger bands, and it led to the next opportunity. Not super proud of it, but Jeffree Star hired me to come play guitar for him.
That's right.
So our bands broke up. We were just kind of got to the point where everyone was just frustrated, and the funds weren't there and the finances weren't there. So Jeffree Star flew me out to LA. I lived with him for maybe like 3 days, and I couldn't do it. I apologized. I was like, thank you for the opportunity, but like I just don't think we're a good match.
Yeah.
And I met a couple other dudes, and then like I said, the next thing led to the next thing, and this band called Stereo Skyline, they had a pretty big hit on MySpace, and they're looking for a permanent member to their bands. I had met them when I was touring with Alberta Sparrow, just briefly, and next thing you know, I flew out to New York on my 21st birthday. I signed a deal with them in Columbia Records, and we went on our first tour, and it just snowballed from there. We're on the road for 11 months of the year, playing with everyone from like Third Eye Blind to Good Charlotte, and touring with all those bands, Hanson, LMFAO. It was just like crazy. Football stadiums to arenas, like. So for me, coming from sidelines and spots like the Undergrounds, all of a sudden playing Soldier Field or the Rams Stadium, it was just like so surreal.
And so that was like 21-year-old you?
Yeah, 21, probably like 24, 25.
Man.
From there, I left the band. You kind of learn quickly that major label doesn't really have your best interest financially in mind. I had toured with the LMFAO guys, and Sky, one of the members from LMFAO, said, "Hey, I'll sign you to a solo deal. I believe you as a songwriter, as an artist." So started working with them for a little bit and doing some higher on guitar stuff where I went and played for guys like Scotty McCreery or Rachel Crow or Sabrina Carpenter and some other kind of random MKTO, and kind of did that for a while. And it's, 10 years later, here I am. So it's a wild ride, and you learn a lot, and you make money here and there, but that's never really what it was about for me. I like to say I'm a millionaire in memories from all the places, all the people I got to see, the venues, the countries I've gone to. Like, it's been awesome. So at least I can kind of look back and be like, man, I put it all out there. And to think it all started, in church, playing in a worship band, and then starting my own garage bands, slowly kind of working my way up through all that. Like, it's been pretty cool to look back and remember why it all started and where it all started back in Modesto.
That's funny. You telling all these stories, like I'm like seeing all of these. I don't even know how we originally got connected, you and I, to be honest, but like I see these posts, whether it's on MySpace or Facebook. I'm like, oh yeah, you were with, I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that season. That's pretty tight.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been it's not all people only see the good stuff usually, like, oh man, I can't believe he's on tour with them, or can't believe they're playing there, but they don't see the hustle and the sacrifice and everything that it takes to really get there. In the state of music now, with YouTube and Instagram, people can put out one song who aren't even in music at all, and it blows up, and they sign record deals, and they're massive. But back in that time, MySpace was kind of just getting started. So you really had to tour, and you really had to build a fan base. And that was so great about our time in 2006 in Modesto, was that bands really had to tour. Like, YouTube wasn't really a thing, Instagram wasn't around. So if you wanted a fan base and to build yourself, you had to go on the road and tour. So that was,
there were no
I feel
Yodel
like that
kids.
was and I don't know if it'll ever be like that again, unfortunately. Like,
I don't
YouTube
think so.
has made it so easy, but man, those are some of the
SoundCloud.
best nights. Why leave your house when you could just put up music online?
Thanks, Post Malone.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I watched that YouTube video on Post Malone, and he's like, I had all these songs, and then finally we thought it was the right time. We just dropped White Iverson, and literally overnight, just millions of views and hits.
Outsold the Beatles now, and Michael Jackson. Like, it's just wild. Music's just changed so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. You still doing stuff with your brothers, the Johnson Bros?
Yeah, so basically my brother was playing in a band called The Cab, and I wasn't really playing with any artists after MKTO, and we decided, you know what, with everything that we've learned in this industry and the little bit of a fan base that we've garnered, let's just do it ourselves. So we kind of went the YouTube route, and we had some success there, and did some really great things. And we just kind of slowed down a little bit. Chantry my middle brother signed a production deal, and he's been really working hard in the studio and doing some really great, amazing things. My youngest brother, he's living with his wife and traveling and doing his photography stuff. And I'm kind of more in the acting, modeling, hosting world now. But the great thing about it is we can always return to it and keep putting out music. We just kind of had that conversation about putting out some new songs and some new covers and stuff. So the great thing about music, man, is you can keep doing it as long as your fingers can still move and your voice is still there. Like there's not really a limit to it. And I think you really have to be in it for the right reasons. If you're in it to just get rich or to just be famous, it's not going to happen necessarily. You really have to be in it for the right reasons. And I remember sharing a room with my two brothers and teaching ourselves to play instruments and, signing these crappy record deals and doing these crappy tours for the love of it.
Yeah.
And I loved every moment of it. I wouldn't take it back for anything.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for your time. Don't want to take up anything else. You got anything, Titus?
No, I'm good, man. It was great chatting with you again.
Dude, absolutely. Thanks for bringing back some of that nostalgia, man. Those are, like I said, those are some of my favorite times, some of those shows, and the people and the bands we got to see. There'll never be another time like that.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. It was fun.
Feel free to drop anything real quick, just like as far as like following you, connecting with you, whatever you want to push.
Sure.
How do people find you? Yeah.
Sure. For the most part, I just kind of post everything I'm up to on Instagram, some kind of random things here and there with my acting and modeling stuff. I think the last kind of cool thing I did, I introduced the Cake by the Ocean music video.
Yeah.
I introduced that at the beginning. I have a nice little speaking part. Shout out Gigi Hadid for casting me in that.
Nice.
But you can follow me at Claywatch and kind of keep up with my ventures and all the fun stuff that's going down in LA.
Yes, your flag football games.
That's right. Yeah, we have a great flag football league that I kind of put together with a bunch of other band dudes. It's like us, 21 Pilots guys, All Time Low, Boys Like Girls guys. So once again, kind of looking back and like, man, I used to be such a fan of all these bands, and here they are, like all really great friends of mine. So if you ever want to come down and play, man, we got some flags for you. I
still have cleats and gloves, so I'll see you in a month.
Perfect. Sounds
good. Gotta get in shape. All right. Thanks, Clayton. Talk to you later, man.
No worries, guys. I appreciate you having me. Have a good one.
Take care, man.
Bye.
Those were fun conversations.
They're great.
I got like 3 rapid fire questions. I'm just going to throw at you because we got to get you out of here.
I've got to get to rehearsal.
Once again, what was your favorite band to listen to, not necessarily local, back in those days? Go.
Back in those days, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Probably, I listened to a lot of Picture Atlantic back in those days. They started off real kind of summer pop, and they really progressed. They're very fun to listen to.
My Chemical Romance. I just listened to them for like 2 hours last night while I was doing homework.
Hidden in Plain View. That was another good one. I'll throw that one out there.
What was the best concert you went to? Again, not necessarily just local, just like boom. Big one.
Man. Best concert, probably more recently watching Thrice after they came out with To Be Everywhere is to Be Nowhere in LA.
Mine, Fall Out Boy, Briseno, 2007, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
I crowd surfed, lived it up, man. And when I went off into the moat that's at the front, Pete Wentz had torn off. It was like just duct taped, just a whole slew of picks, and he threw it out, and it just went nowhere and fell right at my feet. I picked them all up. I was like, I have all of these.
Yeah.
And as I was running back to get back into the crowd, I just started handing them out to people down the line, and then I walked away with 4, and I was like, why?
Why did you do that? Backstory: 2007, My Chemical Romance at the Vans Warped Tour was the first big concert I went to. Decided to crowd surf. I'm making my way from the back all the way to the front.
Heck yeah.
And people are just, pushing me up. And I get pushed up extra high at one point, and right as I do, I look down and the mosh pit opens up, just head first on the cement. I'm sure I blacked out for a second and got back up, and that was fun.
That's gnarly.
It was gnarly.
the not glamorous side of that crowd surf experience. Lost my wallet, had my ID in it, and I couldn't take the SATs the next week.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So
that's why he went to MJC.
Hey, what's up, everybody? And then, all right, last question. If you could see any band, whoa, who'd that be?
I think probably someone like a Led Zeppelin or something. I think John Bonham, the drummer, shaped a lot of drummers' inspirations, I think.
Nice.
And it'd be cool to see him live, especially doing drum solos, and they're just very big. Yeah. Or maybe like the remember if it was the Doors or the Who that would just trash all their instruments. They would like rent instruments from local music stores and just trash them.
All right.
That'd be kind of fun to watch.
That would be cool.
Yeah. What about you?
I already did a whole episode about top 5 concerts, but I guess, you know what, let's drop in Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix, that'd be cool.
Thinking rock and roll.
Yeah.
That'd be really cool. Well, hey everybody, that's it. We do gotta run. Again, this is Titus. Titus, where can the people find you?
On Instagram at Titus Briseno, as that helps you spell it out better.
It does.
Anthony will put the link here,
Mm-hmm.
and or at Shelter Cove. We're here a couple times a week playing drums. Find them on Instagram at Shelter Cove Live.
Yeah,
that's where we are.
It's true. He does that at least once a month.
At least once,
if not more. Thanks again, guys, for watching. As always, you can, if you like this for some reason, you go to patreon.com/AnthonyKGoodwin, and you can support this thing so it can keep happening. You can follow me almost anywhere at AnthonyKGoodwin. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. Subscribe, share with a friend, tag Clayton and Clark, and say, "Oh, this is my favorite song when you used to do it."
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's it. See you guys.
Bless.